Israel's President Isaac Herzog is in Germany for events commemorating the 1972 Munich Olympics massacre. In the past hour, he has been addressing the parliament here in Berlin. Herzog underscored the importance of remembrance, a day after Germany apologized for mishandling the Munich massacre 50 years ago, in which 11 Israeli Olympic team members died. Touching on Germany and Israel's relationship today, he urged both countries to fight anti-Semitism together and not to forget the past.
אין דבר קל. ההתמודדות עם הזיכרון היא דבר מתעתע.
It is not easy to critically engage with remembrance. It shakes us. It is complex for the Germans as well. There are those who deny everything, or feel guilty, or want to put the past behind them. In Israel, too, remembrance is painful. Whether we want it or not, the remembrance of the Holocaust is a quintessential part of our identity. But our remembrance of these atrocities is not easy.
Our chief political correspondent, Melinda Crane, has been following President Herzog's speech, is with me here in the studio. Melinda, the importance of remembrance, was that the main point of Herzog's speech?
It was, but in conjunction with the responsibility that is entailed, that comes from that remembrance. And in that sense, he talked about the remembrance as not only a duty to the victims of the Holocaust, the Shoah, but also as a duty to the future to ensure, of course, that such crimes will never be repeated. And in that context, he quoted his own father in a very moving way. His father was not only the first Israeli president to speak to the Bundestag in 1987, so 35 years prior to this, but also was with the British armed forces that freed the concentration camp Bergen-Belsen, which this President Herzog will visit later on. And he said that his father said about that freeing of Bergen-Belsen that only the victims themselves have the right to forgive, but that all of us have the duty to remember for their sake, but also with implications in terms of responsibility for the future.
So a lot of remembrance, but also, again, looking forward. The Israeli president touched on geopolitics towards the end of his speech. He referred to Iran's nuclear ambitions. What do you say about that?
Indeed, he did. And he basically did derive a German responsibility from the crimes of the Holocaust, also in regard to stopping Iran. As he said Iran is dedicated to Israel's destruction. He said that same thing, by the way, when he met German President Steinmeier on Sunday, and that the accord currently being negotiated by Germany and other powers to try to get Iran to return to the 2015 nuclear deal, he said on Sunday, in somewhat more direct speech, is toothless and watered down, and that it must be stopped. Somewhat more diplomatically, he indicated the same here to the Bundestag today.
A very important moment in German-Israeli relations right now. We've seen a compensation agreement for the victims of the Munich Olympics massacre finally agreed after so long. What does all this say about German-Israeli relations right now, Melinda?
Well, the reason that we're hearing not only the two speakers today stress the duty to remember and the special responsibility that Germany has to Israel, but also yesterday at the commemoration in Munich at the airfield where the Israeli hostages, most of them were killed. 2 were killed in the Olympic Village, of course. But the reason we're hearing this stressed so forcefully by all of the speakers is that, in fact, we are seeing a divergence in German and Israeli attitudes when it comes to exactly this point, with the majority of Israelis saying this is an ongoing responsibility that Germany has for the Jewish people and for the Israeli state, whereas a minority of Germans see it that way. And in fact, nearly half of Germans say it's time to draw a line under history. That will be regarded by many, many people, including within the German political leadership, with alarm, as will a further finding of a recent study that fully a quarter of Germans say that Jews have too much power in the world, an anti-Semitic trope that clearly is being fomented by social media, by hate speech sites. And that's one reason we heard the president of the Bundestag today emphasizing the importance of political leadership to fight ingrained anti-Semitism, which she said is at the heart of German political culture, or German culture in many ways.
Yeah. Melinda, thank you so much. Our chief political correspondent, Melinda Crane.